Thursday morning, May the 18th, 2017. Somebody made an announcement at the banquet I was at, the Caring People banquet, Pete Hershen.
Yes.
And he says, we look forward to great things in the year 1919.
1919.
Well, I said, what? He was saying something in the future in 2019 in
yes.
2 years, but he said 1919 because it's hard for us sometimes to move past to say the 2000s for those of us who were born in the 1900s.
It
sounds so old.
I was born in the 1900s.
Yeah, you were. See, but
he's talking about my election, Kev. Had in 2019.
20. That's when you're running again. You're going to run
Yes,
again?
Sir. Oh yeah.
For mayor? Okay. Well, I don't think our current mayor's going to run again. Correct?
Yeah, there's been
She
some
might?
indications that she might not, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, I mean, not that you
I don't
can't
know for
beat her.
sure.
I'm just saying that
Yeah.
there we are. All right. And Phyllis, she's so faithful. She's back there. And Patty is back. She's faithful too. We got Arizona and Montana. Who would have connected Arizona and Montana on a morning show? But here we are in the morning.
Sioux.
What's that?
The Sioux, who would have connected there? The Sioux, the Lakota.
Oh, Indians.
They probably would have connected the Arizona with Montana or something.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Oh, and then the California. Cindy's there too.
Cool.
All right, because it's early there. See, she's not at work
yeah.
or anything yet. So it's 9 o'clock. Well, she should be at work. Maybe she's retired.
It was weird,
I
when
forget.
we were
Cindy.
out in Nevada, Kev.
Yeah.
The games, I'm used to a sports game starting 7, 8 o'clock. Well, out there they start 4 or 5 o'clock. It's like my dad said. He used to live in L.A. and Monday Night Football started at 5 o'clock in the evening. It's weird.
No, it's very different.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, hockey. What did we play again? The
Tonight.
Predators tonight.
So we're up 2-1.
2-1.
Another home game
Against the
tonight.
Ducks.
So should.
And
yeah.
is it the winner between the other guys, Edmonton and
No, Ottawa versus
Ottawa,
Pittsburgh.
Ottawa and Pittsburgh?
Yes.
So whoever wins there, that's who.
And Ottawa's up
Predators will play.
2-1 in that as well.
Which
I'm kind of wanting Ottawa because Pittsburgh won last year.
They're tough.
Pittsburgh's a really good team.
Those Penguins can move down the ice. Yeah.
Plus, it'd be cool. The capital of Canada versus Nashville is kind of becoming hockey town. It'd be kind of a cool, matchup there. So
That would be, yeah. So we have a beautiful sunshiny day today. Yeah, I think storms are coming tomorrow, but a beautiful day today. How's the weather out there? California, Montana, Arizona today. I like to get the weather report, just hear from everybody out there. Somebody from South Dakota, one of our family of friends, got their first Roku box yesterday.
Awesome.
And so get your Roku. We got the Roku boxes we want to send your way. And so you can watch even this program on your television screen, right? So this is just the connector between your computer, your internet, to your television set, and you can watch all your and Roku's really good. Roku, you can connect to Amazon and Spotify and Netflix and Hulu and all the networks, NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, Nickelodeon. I mean, all these different things you can connect to. There's a bunch of them on the front here.
And it's cool. My TV.
Vudu, Hulu.
Yeah, I have a new TV, Kev, and it doesn't have Roku on it, actually. It's weird, but it has a lot of the different apps. So you can go press home, and you can go, okay, so here's Netflix, here's YouTube. So it's kind of cool. The
You
TVs
can connect to the world and get any program you want, including the network WGAN, which is we got a network. Our network is WGAN, so you can connect today. And so Rita, one of our family and friends from South Dakota, let's see, they were just here a little while ago, and so they're at 72 again in Arizona. The same weather, and a beautiful day. It will be 82 in California. And one person saying they have no sound. Well, turn your sound on because California and Arizona just answered. So I don't know, Joe. Joe, why would they have no sound? Oh, it's 47 and cloudy. Montana's not having the best weather.
No, they're not.
Not so
they're
much.
up there in the north somewhat.
Somebody just had snow, or I saw a picture of snow somewhere on Facebook. Yeah, just recently.
Glad there was
it
good weather
Montana.
Yesterday because we got to go to the Promised Land Zoo. Shout out to them.
Yay, I love the Promised Land Zoo. Yay. That little button he pushes.
Yeah.
That was, so what did you get to see? What was your favorite animal?
Well, the lion, of course. I'm obsessed with lions always.
Yeah.
But
See the sloths? Do they?
yeah, the sloths.
They're
They're
hanging
funny.
out in the tree
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I love the sloths.
I like the little cats, like the caracal and the lynx and all those.
So I guess hippos and giraffes are coming.
Yeah.
Did you see the construction that's happening out there?
You could see the potential. I mean, there's this whole valley back there.
Yeah.
You can just see,
I can't wait to see that, and maybe to get maybe a baby hippo over here.
Right.
Hi Thomas, he's here. Another faithful Thomas. Tara is there. Tara, where are you from? And Thomas, remind me where you're from too. If you're not a family or friend, I don't memorize where you're from. So
Right.
maybe you should become a family or friend. And if you do, you get a monthly gift every month. Every month. This May, we have our devotion book we're handing out you can do your devotions with music, with worship music. And so that's what we're handing out today. And all of you here's Raymond. Kevin, your gift is singing and music. I'm not impressed with your with your show so much. It's
Okay.
sloppy.
Well, everybody loves Raymond, so.
There you go. Everybody loves Raven. Well, sloppy because today we have T-shirts. This is our T-shirt program where we have a T-shirt of the week. And so
Uh-huh.
if you're thinking about that kind of deal, then because we offer a T-shirt of the week, and I wear the same one all week long to offer this one that's in it. It says, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. What am I, Marshall? Here
Okay.
it says on the back.
Yes,
a
I
great
am a
witness wear.
wide-eyed, sanctified, blood-bought, spirit-taught, Bible-toting, scripture-quoting, Satan-bashing, sin-trashing, Christ-following, pride-swallowing, hard-praying, truth-conveying, faith-walking, gospel-talking, bona fide, big-time believer.
There you
I'm
go.
really
As a
proud
matter
of
of
it.
fact, yes, I am.
Yes, I
and that's
am.
what it says. So this is great witness wear. When it's the T-shirt of the week, instead of the $20 normal T-shirt, and we still have our Kevin Shorey Show T-shirts. All those are 20. But this one is only 15. We knock $5 off. It's the T-shirt of the week. So if you get the Yes I Am any size free shipping. Tara is from Ozark, and yes, Butte and Missoula, Montana got snow. There you go. And Patty says I like the show. Okay. Well,
Kevin, the
we're not
world
going to
is-
fight. If he doesn't like the show, he doesn't like the show. I don't-
Kevin, the world is full of scalawags, the number
Yes.
ever increasing the further away you get from Missoula, Montana.
Is that a real thing?
That's from the river runs through it.
Wow, you memorize good movies there. That's really good. Yes, and then Jacqueline is another one that just came on there, and I could look at this all day, but keep giving me information and everything. And Raymond, even tell me where you're from. I'd like to know where you're from and what your weather's like today. But anyway, we're dorky looking sloppy guys. Okay, well, there you go.
Gotta be something.
Yes, and if you like my music, Raymond, then of course you'll get my new CD. It's called Finishing Strong, and that's the brand new CD. In the first 100, I'm signing your name and my name on it and sending it to you. Free shipping, $20, and it's yours. All right, let's get into some news.
do it.
This is our morning news program. We have our Kevin Shorey Show. We tape at 2 o'clock. So maybe check out, see if we're dorky looking sloppy on that show, if you would, Raymond.
No, but this is our more casual kind of,
Yeah.
kind of come in and
It's
just
one-
chit
yeah.
chat about
Well,
the morning.
I got my suit ready to go. We got
Yes,
Rick
sir.
Brumbaugh on today, which is a great preacher and teacher of the word. I'd say it's a teacher,
Absolutely.
and really brings something to the table every time. He taught me about communion and covenant and so many different things. We'll see what he comes up with today
sir.
at 2 o'clock. That is going to be great. Jim is in Anaheim. Of course you are, Jim. You're a Hollywood guy. And so
Anaheim, there's the Ducks. We're playing the Ducks.
playing the
Nashville
Ducks.
Predators,
I bet
so-
he's for the Ducks.
I bet he is.
I bet he's rooting for the Ducks. Maybe. But wouldn't you like to see Nashville just have a chance? The Ducks
Be
have won
cool.
so many Stanley Cups,
Be the
right?
first professional championship in Tennessee sports history.
Yeah.
Come
Well,
on.
that's awesome.
Yes.
Well, in the news. That reminds me of one of my favorite shows. Dun, 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 dun. Wild Wild West.
Oh yeah. Way before my time.
But what a great show. Check it out. It's like James Bond meets the Wild West
Okay.
kind of deal.
Yeah.
And it uses the presidents, Grant and Hayes, as the head of the CIA of the time.
Okay.
They were the Secret Service, and they did secret missions. And
Right.
it's totally fiction, but really kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I miss good shows like that. Clean shows, suspenseful, adventure, good show. I was flicking through last night television, and it's just, other than everybody talking about Russia, at this point, if if one of the president's men has Russian dressing on their salad, there's a conspiracy. Getting so tired. They would talk about giving away secrets to Russia, that Trump did that, even though the secretary of the Homeland Security, no. national security, guy leader was in the meeting, said didn't happen. And then, of course, Trump must have fixed the election with Russia, and then so they're investigating. Go. I'm all for the investigations. I really am. Let the committees do their thing. They picked a good guy that's going to do that. Fine. Do the thing. Find out the truth. In the meantime, media and everybody, let us focus on what needs to be done in the country, because this does not help our country. You can at least agree with that, right, Mr. Howden? That, let the committees do their thing and let justice be justice. But if we just focus on this in the news, and then a guy gets up and says, I am now formally, he was in the House or Senate. It must be the
House.
Senate. Was it the House?
Yeah.
A Democrat in the House.
You know what his name is?
No, what is
Al
it?
Green.
Oh, that's right, it was. Yes, you're right. So he was saying, let's get it on. And then
Let's get him out.
let's get him out. And he was like, I formally, whatever he says, I put forward the motion to impeach the president. And, oh, God. Well, so can't we all just get along? I don't know. He has a right to do that. It's fine. I'm fine with letting justice and due process. But really, I'm hoping that the president looks past these things at this point and takes care of tax. We need tax reform, the infrastructure. I read a
Yes.
thing about the infrastructure, why in the past it hasn't been done, because they overspend in the wrong places and they underspend in the other. There's fixed price contracts that the government has, and so they can't really, that ties the government's hand.
Right.
And then there's projects that never get finished, that they overpay the guy. And so all that, I think a businessman is perfect for this area. This is another reason why I was pro-Trump and I voted Trump, because I thought, if anybody can take care of this, which needs to be done, our bridges, our roads, and I travel all over the roads. I hardly fly at all, if
yeah.
ever. And so I drive everywhere,
Yeah.
And so
The-
you see what's out there.
The Army Corps of Engineers gave us a D- on our roads and bridges.
D-.
So
Oh, come on.
in his first address to Congress, Trump, promised $1 trillion infrastructure spending between a public and private partnership. So hopefully we can get that through. I think everybody can come together and agree on that. We need to
That's
actually,
what we can take care of
rebuild
right
this
now.
country more than just a metaphorical way. Let's actually rebuild the country.
That's Make America Great Again that
Yeah.
way, yes, for sure. And I think this kind of, I don't know that it ties his hands, but this whole thing that's going
It
on with
does.
that ties his hands. And I think let it be done where it's supposed to be done. But, the media is so focused on that. And so I think it keeps away, it definitely in the past has distracted our president. We see something in the media, he's got to tweet it. And we're like, okay, get the man away from Twitter. Will you just let him do the job?
Apparently they took Obama's BlackBerry away from him. Maybe they need to do
This
that.
is good. Take his BlackBerry or whatever. Does anybody even use those anymore?
I don't know. This was 2008.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I know Hillary was caught with one.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother story. But
No, she smashed hers, right?
hi, Thurl, you're here today. That Thurl's come
Yeah,
back.
Thurl.
That Thurl. Thurl has come back again. I was saying I knew a Thurl living on a Thurl. And already 281 people.
Come on.
Yeah, are going through. And so stay with us. One thing I did want to say about Russia, not to be trusted, I don't think. I think there's something to, somebody has done something. Usually when there's something like this that's going on, and it may not be, and probably is not the president, but somebody's leaking or somebody's doing something. So something needs to be done. That's all I have to say about that. It's
Seems
common
like
sense.
that thing about Israel was confirmed, though, which is
What about Israel? Well,
that's who gave us that
But-
intelligence.
right, but I think we don't know everything that he said to him about it, but whatever he said was probably to try to help Israel and Russia. Surely he wouldn't try to, hurt Israel, because he's pro-Israel. One of the few presidents that have been in a while.
Okay, well, he just did something not pro-Israel, so I don't know, but
No.
okay.
It has been reported that he did. There's been report. Now, I'm going to stick on the line on this one because there is no proof of any of those discussions of what is being reported. It's been the New York Post, and I followed it.
He
No.
said he did.
No. He said no, that's not what he said. Don't be a twister. Come on. Don't be twisty Twizzler. No, he said that he had the right to give, as president, any kind of intelligence. He did. He did say that he talked intelligence about, or his cabinet member, whoever made the announcement, said that he gave away some secrets because they're worried about laptops on airplanes or whatever, and they gave some intelligence from Israel, and Israel stepped up. Netanyahu, his boys, said, "We trust the president. It's cool." So
News are
I've
you
watched
watching, man?
all the news.
Israel's mad at us right now.
No, my question is, what news are you watching? Because you're watching the opposite news. I love this. This is fun. But no, but here's one thing. I saw this. White House press secretary for President Obama
Yes.
had said something that
Which,
I found in
by the way, can I say,
his name is Josh Earnest.
which means just kidding, but seriously. Josh means kidding, and Ernest means his name means just
poor
kidding.
guy is a
but seriously.
conundrum, man. He was born a conundrum.
Which is
Who
great
would-
as a press
who would-
secretary, Josh Earnest.
Josh Earnest. Yeah, and now we have Mr. Spicy.
Yeah, spicy.
I love it. So after Russia did the airstrikes on Syria, or ordered the airstrikes because they said they were going to help us in this area or whatever. But I thought this quote was really good about where Russia's at. And Josh Earnest said this: Russia will not succeed because we still want them to help us in Syria and to help in China, or as Trump says,
China.
yeah, I like that. And isn't China. And so Russia will not succeed in imposing a military solution on Syria any more than we were successful in imposing a military solution on Iraq. See, it's just that way. And so I don't think our answer is Russia. So I hope we're not leaning totally on them to help negotiate. We need to negotiate firmly with, and it's not China, I'm sorry, it was North Korea. You know, but China was helping us with North Korea, not Russia. But
Well,
they're all
China's the only country who really has a sphere of influence over North Korea. And I think that also there was some talk of the Philippines also trades with North Korea. So Trump had met with the leader of the Philippines. So hopefully we can kind of cast some influence there. I mean, I'm a little bit more on the side of these folks who have coalesced power in these countries, not taking them out of power, because they do a lot of horrible things, but ISIS is worse. And if you
who
take
moves
out
in
these
is
leaders,
the question when they are taken out.
these countries are
Egypt
fake.
is an example.
Yeah, these countries were literally drawn by European colonialists who said, okay, I'm going to put a straight line there and a straight line there. Iraq is not a country. It is a group of tribes. And so the idea that one man was able to coalesce and kind of gain power there, they were horrible people, but we have to look at the alternative. And for these people who are dictators, and they have sort of a self-allied interest, but at least they're not trying to build a caliphate to take over the world. I mean, it seems to me one's better than the other, so.
I know, the lesser of two evils, that's a horrible choice to make.
It is, but when it's interventionalism versus not, when it seems like if we stayed out of there, the people who are in power would be able to have a little bit more control. It seems to me that over time, I think the conservative side was correct on when they criticize us about kind of taking out the leadership in Libya. I think we should be consistent on that and kind of feel that way throughout the entire, sphere of the world. So
I know.
you look at chemical attacks, but look at what ISIS does.
It's horrible all the way around, and we really need the wisdom of the Lord and that, and so we really do need. If we would just depend more on the Lord, I really think He would help us in these areas, because nobody hates disaster, destruction, and war and all those things more than God. So I think He'll give us the strategies if we'll really depend on Him more and listen. I really believe that with my whole heart. Number one. Number two, we are living in end times. So things could be lining up for the end times that we're living in Revelation and in Daniel. There is mention of two animals that symbolize countries. The bear and the dragon, and of course
China and Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're there. They're a big major part. But what it says in the Bible makes me really, negotiate but never trust.
Right. Right.
So.
Well, it's like,
Both animals like to eat things.
Right.
So
right.
we don't want that.
Well, think about
We're
it.
just eagles.
It's almost like
we're just an eagle.
Yeah, we're the Eagles. Think about it. It's almost like the closest thing to the Crusades right now, in a sense. It's even though it might be a crazy statement because
On Islam's part, you mean?
well, yeah, in a sense that we are kind of in a religious war right now, in a sense.
They feel it's an end time. They want to bring back their Mahdi and set up the caliphate and all
right.
that.
You know,
So
it's not
it's not far-fetched.
18th century and 19th century, our wars were more of kind of empires fighting each other or sort of for political fortitude, but it's
Right.
now, like I said, it's this religious
Now it's a
sect,
religious it's put into it, yeah.
So
And
that
so-
certainly is a side of the
Which
end
once
times,
again
yeah.
proves the Bible's true. Everything is in it is right. And we're going to get to the Bible and give our devotion of the day here pretty soon. But before we hit our historical moment, I found two greedies of the day.
Okay.
Two greeds. Let's start with, start with one. One is a little more complicated. Let's start with complicated. Let's get that out of the way. There was a guy, I will not name that I read the article, and he obviously didn't work alone, but he went to small counties around the United States, setting them up with a system that they could issue tax-free bonds, and it would bring the county money, and the county would then in turn build prisons.
Oh God.
I know, like we
Yeah.
need more prisons. But the IRS got involved and under investigation because then they were building these prisons. Some of them were not built. Some of these bonds were given out. They failed because the number one failure was they couldn't fill enough beds in the prison. See, what happened was all of a sudden now it's a money-making scheme. Talk about greed of the day. So this guy and his cohorts are going around to these small counties who needed money for their county. The counties bought into it, built prisons, couldn't fill. All of a sudden then they had to almost, I can't say they did this for sure, but I know it goes on because I have a relative in prison right now. And so I can tell you that there are lawyers and judges getting a little something to fill up like it's hotel rooms to get them in prisons. And I'm sorry that that's a bad thing in our system, but it is true and it's happening.
Absolutely.
And it is definitely number one greed of the day.
There's documentaries of judges who sit up there and give harsh sentences to 15-year-olds, and there was actually a judge who got admonished here. He's actually on suspension right now, a Taney County judge who did this. I'm not going to mention the name, but yeah. And so it's
and
something
then you
that
have,
runs
on the other
rampant.
hand, you have people throwing allegations and suing people left and right. So our courts are going crazy, and so it is a crazy time. But man, when you take greed out of it, then I don't think these things would happen. And right now,
prisons do not need to
prisons
be private.
we don't
It's
need to build any
crazy.
more prisons. We need to rehabilitate and help
we
the
have
people that are there.
5 some odd around percent of the world's population, 25% of the world's prisoners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's a horrible, it's a crime, if I can use that word. It is a crime that's going on in the name of justice. And, I don't have any answers of how these things are going to stop, but this is one more reason why we have to pray for our nation. For sure.
One thing we need to stop taking, especially, minority fathers out of the home and destroying families because of crimes that a lot of people commit, and
Yeah.
it seems like only a certain
not that there aren't
population
people that
gets-
belong there. I'm not saying that at all, of course. People always jump the other way. No, I'm talking about real
you get
justice
into,
for people that
you get
need.
into nonviolent crimes. I mean, and people are just given life sentences for and mandatory minimums on things. It's just and there was some
It's out of
reform.
hand.
There was some reform a few years ago, and in fact, I think Rand Paul, who I like a lot of the things he stands for in his libertarian bent. I think he introduced some legislation this morning to kind of help curb some of that.
This morning, yeah.
Yeah. So
Good. I have two greedies of the day. Here's
Okay.
the second greed. To me, the state of Illinois,
okay.
and I love Illinois, but we're talking greed. Hey, Big Daddy's here. Hey,
Illinois.
Illinois. Did I say Illinois? No, okay.
They're one of them. Yeah, they have a very
Well,
the
here's
state's
one-
a good state, but
Yeah, but this part of Illinois, crazy.
right.
The state lottery, first of all, lottery, because we're helping teachers and school districts with the money. Like less than a half of a 1%, whatever,
Right.
goes to schools at all. Please do not. But see, it's our fault. There would be no big lottery, big bucks, whatever thing if nobody was playing.
Right.
Just like there would be no casinos around the United States if the parking lots weren't full of people. Everyone I pass is full of people in every state that has them. So, you know, if you're complaining, it's like somebody who complains about the sex and violence on their DVD player. You know, you're the one that put it in there.
Right.
You're watching it. You know, it's the same thing with this, and so it just does my head in. But here's what happened in Illinois.
Okay.
They spent the money.
Oh no.
So the people that have won lottery tickets, won some cash, they're getting IOUs.
Oh no.
So,
IOUs.
it's not funny. I hate it. It's so stupid and greedy. They've spent the money. So people are getting, you know, you could win your $1 million and you ain't ever going to see it.
Wouldn't that be
probably
the
in your
worst?
lifetime.
You win, and then all of a sudden you realize,
It'd be horrible. Here's an IOU.
Yeah, see what happened was.
What happened? You know,
What happened? Yeah.
yeah. That's
Oh, that's horrible.
from a movie, another movie quote. We're quoting movies all day. River runs through it.
Yes.
Is that Mighty Wind?
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a couple greeds of the day, and that's
Greeds of the
these people that are setting up these jails. This is ridiculous. And then of course, you know, there needs to be some reckoning out there in the state of Illinois, which is still I don't understand. Illinois is also, I saw it again in the news, number one in crime and murders
Right.
and killings in that state.
Well, even their like last 6 governors been to prison or something like that. It's ridiculous. I'm serious. That really is.
How about
you
the
know.
dude that sold a seat? There's a
Oh,
greed
yeah.
of the day. I wish we
Blagojevich,
could have
yeah.
reported that. What was his name?
Blagojevich.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
guy. Selling a seat in the House to.
Yeah.
Bye,
And then
bye.
Jesse Jackson's son, he was senator, and he's in
Yes.
prison now.
Yeah, he's actually a friend of a friend.
Really?
And he definitely was a criminal, but he's out now
Oh yeah.
and really reformed and really
Gotcha.
rehabilitated
Mm-hmm.
guy. As for his dad, well, no judgment here though. We love them all. We're praying for them, and we should pray for these small counties that got duped into this thing.
Oh,
Of course,
yeah.
they asked for it actually by doing this deal, but
Crazy.
and then of course all of our partners and friends in the state of Illinois. So everybody from Illinois that was on is now turned off. I don't think we had anybody from Illinois, but yeah, we're ready.
There's this great commercial, Kevin.
Yes.
It's got, when Kevin Durant left the Oklahoma Thunder, they've got the other guy, he's probably going to win the MVP this year, Russell Westbrook, who plays for him, who's just awesome. And he has this commercial, it's like a Nike commercial or something, and it says all the things that he does that are unorthodox. Like they said you shouldn't listen to slow jams before this, before the game, basically, because he, warms. He goes, they said you shouldn't eat sushi in Oklahoma. All the things that he does that they told him not to do.
That's funny.
It's like that line, sushi in Oklahoma.
Sushi in Oklahoma,
I don't know
which
if
I have had many
Have you?
times. Yes. There's a great Japanese place in Tulsa, as a matter of
Nice.
fact, called Fuji. But anyway, I know restaurants.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so 354 now. We're going on in our morning program, and it's really good. And I'm sure one of the reasons why is, are you ready, April? One of the reasons why it's
I don't
growing
like
is because
this.
people love our historical moment with Marshall.
Sugar Ray, Parmesan, Brando, the king and I, and the catcher in the rye. Eisenhower backseat, England's got a new queen. Marciano, Liberace, Santayana, goodbye.
That's all I can take. Yes. Thank you. I heard Eisenhower in there. I can't wait to get to him.
Yes.
Underrated
I've
as a
loved-
good president.
I've loved, knowing that song growing up, and then you hear things like that. I had no clue what that meant.
You didn't know what it meant back in the-
What is children of thalidomide? I didn't know what that meant. Until
Children of what?
thalidomide. Vietnam and the whole.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So,
for the oh,
right,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
oh.
you learn things over the years.
Yeah, I just
you know?
learned it right now.
Yeah.
We have learned in our historical moment, I've learned so much.
Yes.
That the vice president was picked because he came second in the election.
Yeah, for a
The-
couple
The president
terms, yeah.
didn't pick the vice president back then. Now they're starting to, in where we're at in history. There was a confederacy before the Southern Confederates.
Yeah, and I was reading just a little bit about that last night. I'm
Yeah.
gonna read a little bit more about that because I might have something to do with my little book that I'm writing.
Crazy, isn't it?
I always talked about writing a book about Jackson establishing a Scotch-Irish kingdom in the American South. That might have something to do with the kind
You
of
should
my
write a
alternative
book
history
that
and
actually
everything.
happened. Wouldn't
Yeah.
that be awesome to see what would happen? Because I don't think there's been a movie or thing. There's a lot about what if the South won
Uh-huh.
all that stuff before. What if Britain won the Revolutionary War, or if Hitler had won World War II. That's been done.
Yeah.
But what if New England and New York and New Jersey seceded, and it
there
was
was a
their
couple
own country.
moments. There was a couple moments you and I talked about as we've talked about this narrative about one of the other ones that you had suggested. Maybe it had to do with Jefferson actually did sort of create a French style revolution, like he kind of
Or
wanted,
Jackson with his Scottish.
Yeah. So this might be something I'm going to work on. Yeah.
Write it, and people are going to steal that now that we put it out there on
It's
the
okay.
air. We should have talked about that
It's
privately.
okay.
But
They can write it, but I'm going to write a better one.
there you go. So we have now.
We're going to do 2 presidents today. Kev.
Yeah, because old Kinderhook now he's out. He only did
Yes.
1 term, and another general comes in.
Right.
William Henry Harrison.
And it's kind of fascinating because,
We don't know what he did because he died.
he died, yes. He was in the office for 31 days.
Oh.
But so since he was only in office for 31 days, let's go a little bit back to the campaign a little bit.
Okay.
It was fascinating because Jackson was the very first president ever born in a log cabin. Okay.
Okay.
And so that kind of became a little bit of a symbol that Jackson used, along with the donkey. They use these agrarian symbols and the founding
Is that the
of the
first
Democratic
Democratic donkey?
Yeah, that's kind of where that came from. It actually started as kind of a ribbing of Jackson, but that's
Yeah.
he liked it,
Oh, no. Of course he did.
Yeah.
He's
so-
Donald Trump in so many ways.
And in a lot of ways.
But
it's
where did that
interesting.
elephant come from? We're going to figure that out.
The elephant was Harper's Weekly. They drew the donkey
You
and they
knew.
just put him against an elephant.
It's a
so,
genius.
yeah. So
Who did they put against the elephant?
the donkey had already been established.
Yeah.
And then they kind of just picked an elephant as kind of the
When-
opposite
who-
of that.
what election?
Harper's Weekly magazine, a cartoon. It
But
just
what
came
election?
from that.
When was it?
Probably
You remember?
around Lincoln's time when the
Really?
Republican Party actually started.
Because that's when it started.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah. Of course.
so,
Duh.
But so it's fascinating because Jackson was this, and they wanted to create the Democratic Party that was this for the agrarian. But we also talked about yesterday how Van Buren was kind of a traitor to his class, and he really was in some ways more of aristocratic than.
Yeah.
So it was amazing how they immediately flipped, and the Whigs at this time, who ran William Henry Harrison, ran him as the log cabin guy, as the kind of the general like
Because
Jackson.
Jackson was so sure. Why not?
And so it was
Is this
so
the
quick
first
how
that
they
there
were
was
able to flip.
Whigs?
It was
Like-
the first time they ran
Okay.
as Whigs,
Uh-huh.
so they accused Harrison of being homespun. They said he was
Same
like a
things as
country
Jackson.
bumpkin, but
Yeah.
he wasn't. He was actually brilliant. He was actually the first president who ever studied medicine. But he was a little bit older. He was 67. And so here it comes the kind of tragedy of his life is because he was kind of said that he was a little bit older and kind of wanted to show his gusto. He gave a 2-hour inaugural address out in the cold,
In the rain,
in an early
right?
March day, and got pneumonia and died.
Oh, cold, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
and
snow.
31 days he
He died.
lasted
Now,
in
but
office.
why did he pick John Tyler? Who was Tyler before all this? You have any info on
Yeah,
that?
so Tyler was also, Tyler was a Virginian, so that was, they were kind of doing some of that, like a balancing out type
Smart.
of thing,
But he picked him now, right? So now
Yeah, he
you're
picked
picking your
him.
vice
Mhm.
president. Okay.
Yeah, and so let's move into, well, first off, it's interesting because the Whigs, they were split on infrastructure, they were split on slavery, they were split on the banks. The one thing they coalesced on is they hated Andrew Jackson. That was the one thing.
The
that
Whigs
really,
hated Jackson.
Yeah, that was the
Yet
because
Harrison was like him.
yeah, well, Harrison was like him in demeanor, but he didn't appreciate the policies or kind of the
Okay.
the whole thing. So that was really the one thing that kind of put him, because had they known that Van Buren was going to be so easy to beat, they would have nominated Clay. Henry Clay would have been,
Back
because he wanted to
in
be the
that
president,
election.
so
Yeah.
much throughout all these years. So yeah, let's go into John Tyler, because they called him his accidency, obviously, because we'd never had a president
Die,
assume,
right.
or of any kind, assassination, resign, impeach, any kind of thing like that. So his greatest achievement.
And what's interesting, can I
Mhm.
just say that every president that died after that
Uh-huh.
in office, either assassinated or died in office, it was called the Van Buren curse. So Harrison didn't even get the name.
Right.
Van Buren got the
funny?
name
Yeah.
because it was.
Yeah.
That was.
Because he's the one who cursed him, probably. With his,
I guess
with his
so.
sideburns.
Something. So he gets the name. But,
Yes.
Okay.
But so it was a crucial moment, and John Tyler really had to define what the presidency was going to be. Was he going to be a
Wow.
lame duck? Was he just going to be a figure holder, an office holder? But he basically told Daniel Webster, the Secretary of State, basically told him the cabinet would be the president. The cabinet will make all the executive decisions.
Oh, wow.
And he basically said, "You're either with me or you're gone."
Yeah.
And so he assumed all the powers of the presidency, which really was so strong and kind of created the presidential succession as we know of today.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
which is very
Was he
important.
a Virginian, wealthy person? Was he in
Yeah,
law though
yeah,
before? Or
in a lot of ways, you know, Virginia was a place where it was very easy to get loan money from the English. You know, Virginia was very aristocratical, and they were kind of their own
Yeah.
country and stuff. So he was certainly kind of among that, but he was also his own man. He actually went against the Whigs in a lot of ways. He kind of went back to Jackson and vetoed 2 bills to recharter the Bank of the United States. So he didn't like the banks either.
Oh,
In fact, he made them so mad he was expelled from the Whig Party. And there were
while he was president?
while he was president, so he kind
Whoa.
of became a man. He also didn't elect a vice president because he didn't think he had to. So he was a man
Well, 'cause
all among
he was all-
himself.
yeah.
yeah, and so that was kind of fascinating.
Did he win a second term though?
No,
Because by then he'd have to have picked a vice president.
no, he didn't
Second-
even run for a second term.
Oh, he didn't. I'm out of here.
right,
This is
right.
too much.
So the Whigs would never again. There were presidents who were kind of Whigs, but the Whig Party kind of came and went. You know,
Really? That was the end of that.
Yeah, it was. There was the parties were a lot more kind of cohesive. They moved around a lot more back then. And the only, you know, like the Democratic Party in name has a start from we can trace it back through history. You know, not in policy, so to speak, and in some policies, in some ways, in some philosophical bents, but that was really the only party that kind of survived because it wouldn't be for another 40 years until Lincoln would establish the Republicans. And again, they're very different from, you know, really you could say that the 2 modern parties kind of started in the early 1900s, you know, with Roosevelt, you know, FDR kind of, and the New Deal was a more strong
Well,
central
just defining
government
what
type
the
of thing.
Democrats were
Kinda,
today.
yeah, absolutely. You know, so and then you know Coolidge, some of those guys with the more laissez-faire kind of
Yeah.
government system, they were more kind of defining the modern Republican Party. But one thing that he did do though, he did have some achievements in foreign policy. So he signed the Webster-Ashbury Treaty, settling the England-U.S. border disputes in Canada, and also provided over the annexation of Texas, which Polk did, and we've talked about this for the last 4 presidents, which is fascinating because we only usually hear about it with Polk, but it was a long
Texas was
process,
in
as
the-
we know.
in
you
the
know.
scope way before
Absolutely.
Polk,
And
yeah.
so he actually, Tyler actually tried to annex Texas, kind of put the presidential proclamation forward, but Congress didn't want it. So as the other 2 presidents before, they were scared about the kind of secessionism, different things like that. That's kind of where Tyler came in, except for he, you know, wanted it and Congress didn't. And so it's funny. Now, the last thing I'll say about Tyler is, you know, it's the most Southern name you can. You know, we had a quarterback, Tyler Bray, for the Vols. You know, and you can't not say that name without a Tyler. You know, it's a
Tyler,
hard
just
name to
it's a
say
Southern
without
name,
a Southern.
Tyler.
You know, yes.
Tyler,
so-
Texas.
Tyler, Texas. That's right. And so he
I wonder if that was named after him.
probably was. Yeah,
Since
Was
he
Texas?
was 4. Yeah.
Probably was. you
Maybe,
know.
but maybe not.
Yeah. So yes, there's our 2 presidents of the day. One that, and then of course, William Henry
Did he-
Harrison had a descendant, Benjamin Harrison, who we'll talk about in.
Who's the
few-
president?
He was
Yeah.
a president.
But did he do anything in the 30 days he was alive as president, or he didn't have a chance to? Did he?
I seriously doubt it. I mean, he. Think about it. Back then, it was harder to even, you know,
get anything out,
news
yeah.
across or anything
Oh,
like that. You know,
goodness.
so yeah, probably fought with his cabinet and had that all, and he was ready. You
I think
know,
it was like 4 or 5 years ago that they, or maybe longer, that they dug him up to see if he was poisoned.
right,
'Cause
yeah.
People thought that maybe, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. it
He,
sounds a
he
little
fought
far-fetched.
against. He was the military governor of Indiana. He fought against William Tecumseh Sherman. You know, so that was
right.
one of the things that kind of made him well known and
That's
stuff.
what made
But
him known.
but he, I think the Democrats at this time were right. He was a faux Jackson. He wasn't.
Yeah, no, he
you
wasn't
know,
the
they
real
tried
deal.
to kind of put him up as this. He was a Jackson, but nah, he didn't quite come close to it. But
That's funny because now I always think of John Tyler as like, well, I didn't sign up for president. I was just vice president. So,
Right.
you know, he just
Right.
sits it out.
they say he was playing tiddlywinks at his house when he found out. For real.
The thing with the,
Yes,
do with your
yes.
thumbs?
No, where you tiddlywinks, you throw
tiddlywinks or
you have little tacks and you throw them down and you try to like pick them up before you. I can't remember something like that. It's a game of.
That's
Isn't that
Jax.
right? Oh, that's Jax.
That's Jax.
I don't know.
Tiddlywinks
That's
is just
before my
playing with your
time.
fingers, isn't it?
I don't know.
I don't know. There might be a real game or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Your dad will look
Dad'll
it up
look it
while
up.
we'll come back to that.
It's kind of like Pinochle in the same school of.
Not even close. You're just picking games that have nothing to do with anything. But you know, and it's interesting. So John Tyler basically is Virginian he didn't come out of obscurity. Obviously, people knew him.
Right.
So, but he wasn't really in the Senate or a lawyer or anything legally before he was. I don't know if you found that out or not.
No, I didn't. I don't.
So they just picked
get
him.
To that. I think it really
There's
did
gotta
have
be
a
a
lot
good
to do
book on
because
that.
William Henry Harrison was Ohio and this was Virginia, and I think kind of going back to the dynasty of Virginia, because it was so powerful at the beginning and then we kind of moved away from it a little bit, but you always you fall back on those kind of old tropes, and
Yeah.
so.
But so he must have had a strong cabinet. That he had Daniel Webster, you said.
Daniel Webster, yeah, but it was all William Henry Harrison's cabinet. Now I don't know how many of the
Right.
guys actually stayed on with him after he threatened to get rid of them all. I think probably a lot of them fell in line, but probably not when the Whigs turned on him.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating because then let's see. So
Man, your own party then disassociates themselves.
Polk Taylor.
Sounds like something that could happen now.
But so Fillmore and
We don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
But what I'm saying is they're listed as Whigs, but
Right.
one of the presidential historians I listened to said that there were no more Whigs after this. So I wonder if there was because sometimes
maybe
call
they had to give
themselves
them a
different
name.
names,
Yeah,
or
they were maybe independent, but
Could
they
have been,
gave their
yeah.
own. You had to give them a name,
right.
Because at this point now,
And I actually think
Federalists,
that's
they're
what the
gone.
Whigs were, because like we were saying, they were split on a lot of things, except for they just kind of coalesced. They were the anti-Democrats, the anti-Jacksonians,
Yeah.
So, and because Jackson is much like Jefferson, Jackson shaped a lot of the presidencies who came after him. But the only, we had two more Democratic presidents before Lincoln, Buchanan and Pierce, but they were horrible presidents. So the only one who really
we must find one good thing from
well,
them.
I know. I think when we did them on 4 at 4, I found a couple of good things about them.
We'll get there.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. What's going to be interesting, Kevin, is when we get into like Clinton and Reagan, and when we get into the ones that are more partisanly known nowadays. I have to really parse my words on
Yeah,
those.
I
Obama.
I really hate that part of it,
I
though.
know.
I really don't like that we like so separate, because I think all in all, every president, every leader, at least what I feel in my heart, I could be naive, but the Bible also says that the Lord is the one that chooses every leader, and so that we're supposed to pray for those in authority. I just believe in the heart of everyone, they just want America to be good, and they don't always have the answer.
And our country does.
Like one of the greatest examples to me, I mean, Jimmy Carter is the most good-hearted person. You see what he's done since he's been president. But yet, the decisions are wrong, or the cabinet decides, or who knows. But I think all in all, everybody wants the same thing. They want America to be great again.
Yeah.
And the bipartisan thing, it's become too much, I think. When I read, though, I've been reading about Hamilton and Burr some more. Again, last night I got another chapter in. And they said the most horrible things about each other in the news. Today we say, oh, you're mudslinging. Whew. They were like calling each other such horrible names in the newspapers. Whoever controlled everybody had their own newspaper they controlled.
Right.
And so whatever they wanted to put in it, they could. So,
But I think that even though we did have that, I think that the system of checks and balances was a lot more intact. And I think that, Congress had their act together a little bit more back then.
Back then?
I think so, because it seemed like they weren't as, not polarized, but as frozen in inability to do things as we are now. And it seems to me that it seems to have to do with Congress, and because it's not that we fight just as much, but it does seem that we're in the Congress under President Obama, and we can say many reasons about that, but they passed the least bills of any Congress ever. So why'd they do that? Is it because it was total polarization, or was it because of ineptitude of leadership? I don't know, but it's certainly.
Well, I think it's all the above, and it's ridiculous, and so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. One thing that's not ridiculous is always true. Do you find out anything about Tiddlywinks? What's Tiddlywinks?
Well, it was invented in 1888.
Well, there you go.
And of course, it's a game in which small plastic counters or discs are flicked into a central receptacle by being pressed on the edge with a larger counter or disc.
Oh, so it's a little game.
On a felt piece, the edge of a chip.
So I have to say it because nobody can hear it. So it's like a felt piece, and they snap, and then something snaps, and it's a little game. But that was in 1888. So this was 1820s.
Is that kind of like when you put the quarters on your?
Not a thing like it. You are so crazy. We're up to 500 people that are falling asleep on Tiddlywinks, but John
We got
Tyler did
Rojette's
some
Guide
form
over.
of Tiddlywinks. Maybe he was just doing the thumb thing, because it was invented in 1888. This is what my grandmother would say, go sit in the corner and play tiddlywinks.
Tiddlywinks, yeah.
And this is what she would tell me. So, yeah, maybe, I don't know. My grandmother wasn't during John Tyler's time, but close. I wanted to talk today about just trust. You know, we can't, when we see all these things, who do we trust? We can't really totally trust China or Russia, or definitely not North Korea or Iran. You know, we can't trust the Nation of Islam. You know, there's a lot of things we find that we can't trust. The Bible says that the only thing we really can trust in this life is the Lord, that he'll never forsake us and never leave us. He'll never, you know, turn his back on us. And he is always trusted, even though we don't see sometimes what he's doing, the long-term plan, that we still are to trust him. And so I just found like a few scriptures that talk about trust. I mean, but sometimes we put our trust in the wrong things. And sometimes, you know, we put our trust maybe in financial security. You know, well, if I have everything in the bank, everything's going to be fine. Not necessarily. We found that can't be true. We put our trust in our best friends. And sometimes those we think are our friends, we find out they're really not the friends after all. Family members, you know, sometimes your own family can, just one thing can turn them. And, you know, and so who do you trust? Well, you can trust the Lord. And if you trust the Lord, I think here's the key. When you trust the Lord, then he gives you the wisdom of who you really can trust, who you associate with, what you do as far as in business or in ministry or in any facet of life, that you trust in him enough to listen to everything he has to say and everything he does. Many times the children of Israel would be overtaken by an enemy, put into slavery. Like in the case of Moses, when he delivered them out of slavery, the Pharaoh says, you can trust me now. I've done with the plagues. Go ahead and leave. Just take everything with you. And so they do. And then he comes after him, changes his mind, and he comes after him, and he has trapped them now. And Moses and the children of Israel, over 1 million people, trapped with Pharaoh's army. It must have been really strong with their chariots and horses and all of their weaponry. And, you know, they were the modern day civilization of that time that had all the latest whatever. So, I mean, now they're women and children and men trapped in front of a sea, and Pharaoh and his army behind them. So, God delivers them. And we all know the parting of the Red Sea. Everybody's seen the movie, The 10 Commandments. So that's what happens. They get to the other side, and of course, Pharaoh and his army, you know, or the army anyway, is drowned in the sea, which I've heard National Geographic and some other Discovery Planet people talk about how, well, the Red Sea was really, at that time, called the Reed Sea, and so it was really as high as the reeds, maybe as high as this desk, and so, you know, there was just a good, strong wind of some sort, like tornado, and it gave them the ability to part the waters so go on dry land. So,
convenient.
Yeah, it's convenient to say that in history, but if they're going to go all the way with that story being true, because obviously they said now it's true, because a wind came through and blew the reeds, you know, well, then maybe that's not the miracle. The miracle is that 1 million-man army of pharaohs was drowned in this height of water. So either way, it's a miracle, right?
Yes.
So they get to the other side and they say this, and David repeats this in Psalms. Some will trust, there I found the word trust, in chariots and their armies and horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord. For the enemy is bowed down and fallen, but God will help us, excuse me, and we have risen and will stand upright. So praise be to God, the King will answer us when we call. So there again, if you trust in those things over God. And then Isaiah has a bunch of words of trust. I couldn't get, of course, every word of trust, because I found out like there's hundreds of the word trust in here. So obviously, if it's said a lot, it's really important to God that we trust him. And, you know, one of my mom's favorite, her favorite verse was, lean not to your own understanding. You know, don't trust in your own ways, but in all your ways acknowledge or, you know, recognize him as leader of your life, and he will direct your paths. And, you know, when I've messed up the most is when I did it my way. And when you do it your way, it's not Burger King, you know, have it your way, you know, trusting God. The Bible also says, Isaiah says his ways are higher than our ways. So I'm going to go for the higher power and trust in that, you know. Isaiah 12:2 says, behold, God is our salvation. Trust him and you will not have to be afraid, for he is your strength and will give you a song, and has become your salvation. Isaiah 26:3 then says, that was Isaiah 12:2. Isaiah 26:3 3, and I should have marked them ahead, but instead I'm just going to find them, show you I can find them. He will keep you, I love this one. He will keep you in perfect peace if you keep your mind stayed on him because you trust him. You know, what are you thinking about every day? Trust in the Lord forever. For in Yahweh, Yahweh is Hebrew for the Lord that is one God. The Lord is everlasting, has everlasting strength, and he will bring those that dwell on high and are lofty above you. He will lay them low to the ground and bring them to the dust. I need that. Come on.
Yes,
I need a debt brought down to the dust.
Come on.
And so I trust not in those things. I can't even look at my bank account and say, yep, we're going to pay off that debt. No, I look at that and I say, ah! But in the next breath, I say, I will keep my mind stayed on him who will keep me in a perfect peace. Isaiah 40:31 then says, you should have brought your Bible. Then I should have a sword drill.
I'm ready tomorrow.
Just go.
Yeah.
But those who wait on the Lord,
Yes.
he'll renew their strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles and run and not be weary. They will walk and they will not faint. In other words, wait upon him. Trust on him. If you trust in him, he will help you to mount up with wings of eagles. There's our eagle. There's our national bird. Could have been a turkey, but no. God doesn't want us hanging out with turkeys. Who said we should have a turkey?
Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin. Big turkey. And so
He was a turkey.
yeah, but now, it's an eagle. But the eagle's is strength. Eagle is soaring high above. Eagles will go above clouds that are low lying, to get above there. And the way they do that is that they release, because they eat like big fish or snakes, or something, a rat, something on the ground. If they're over the, they're the kind of eagle or bird that's in that part of the desert or whatever. But then there's ones that are over the water, then they get the fish, and that kind of deal. But they will eat like pounds and pounds of this stuff because they're a big animal. But it's big enough that it would hold them back from soaring in these higher heights. So, in my Kevinisms, I'm thinking for a bird to be, the bird that soars the highest of any other bird. To do that, they have to just release pounds of doo-doo to get higher.
There you go.
So if you want to soar high, there's some stuff you got to let go. If you let go of the doo-doo, you can soar high.
Yes.
You don't have to repeat that after me, but all 492 people, you heard it, all right? Hi, Nancy, for joining us. There's people that are joining us. That we're reaching over 500 already before we're done. But in order to trust God, that means there's some things you have to let go and not trust in. It's always easy to trust in secure things and things that, have worked in the past, or 563 now.
Nice.
To secure in those kind of things, but those things will just fall, sometimes will just fall up from underneath your feet. And so Proverbs, here's what it says in the Proverbs. I love the Proverbs. We've went through the Proverbs in our devotions. We might need to do that again. And there's so much wisdom in that. But Proverbs 3 and verse 5 and 6 tells us that trust in the Lord with your whole heart. Once again, 5, lean not to your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, he'll direct your paths. But it starts with trust in the Lord with all your heart. I forgot that's the first part. I always quote, lean not to your own understanding, but my mom's favorite verse also says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, everything. Psalm 147 and verse 11 tells us. Is that 147? No, that's 148. 147:11 tells us, the Lord takes pleasures in those who will trust him. He enjoys that you will trust him. He knows us best. Weren't we made in his own image? So if we're made in his image, he must know what his own image needs, and he will take care of us. And it says, he loves those who will hope and trust in his mercy. And so we totally do. Proverbs again, let me read one more proverb that I forgot to do. Proverbs 29:25, I like this. The fear of a man brings a snare. If you have anxieties and fears about everything, he says, what is the opposite of fear? It's faith. Whoever trusts in the Lord shall always be safe. I thought that was just a great, sometimes we trust in, your own grandmother does this, and I've seen on television, and I see where it's worked for people that find either oil or water. I guess mostly water. They have these divining rods, or you call it a dowel rod.
Dowel rod.
Yeah, and You see, you're like, okay, what are you moving the stick, or
Yeah.
who's moving the stick? But I guess it's been proven true in some cases, so it can't all be baloney sauce. But some will trust more in a stick
Right.
than they will in the God that created them. And you know, and I know that I'm not talking about even people that don't believe there's a God or believe in the Bible. I'm just talking about people that really claim to be Christians.
Right.
You know, they believe in so many other things more than, like the lottery. We talked about the lottery today.
Mm.
Well, I'm going to win. I keep trying, you know.
Or how about a lucky penny or a lucky, something?
Oh, the
I'm
other
sure
day
that-
was, or coming up in a few days is Lucky Penny Day.
Right.
You know, there's a whole holiday put for Lucky Penny Day. But those things that I believe there is no such thing as luck. I mean, I think nothing is happenstance. It's all no coincidence. Everything happens for a reason and a plan. And it's not only divine, but just the way the cycle of the world. That's just the way I believe. Not everybody will agree with me, but I really believe that. Colossians 2:6, I want to close with this. It says, as you have therefore received Christ, Jesus the Lord, walk in him. Be rooted and built up in him. Let your whole world be him. Be established in faith and trust as you've been taught, abounding in it with thanksgiving. I'm always thankful for everything. I'm thankful that the $81,000 is going to come up, even though I don't see it. I'm thankful that, all of our staff are going to be taken care of, even though I don't see it today. By the way, it's payday. All these things, God says, if we'll just be built up, walk in him, established in him, trust him in all faith, that he will take care of us. And I think that's more than just for me today. It's for those that are watching today. And I pray that you'll just trust the Lord. When you talk to him in prayer, and I pray that you pray every day, morning, noon, and night, and keep in contact with him, and let his presence always be around you. And let me just pray with you that you will do that today. And God, we have talked about our nation, so we pray for our nation. I pray that all of our leaders will keep their trust in you. I pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and that the Jews will keep their trust in you, Jehovah God, Yahweh. And I also pray that everybody within the sound of my voice will learn to trust in your word and to lean not to what we have seen and not in our own minds what we believe will happen, but you promised us a perfect peace if we will trust in you. And so let us trust and rely and depend upon you in everything. That doesn't mean we don't do anything. We just sit back and let you do everything. It means that we listen to what you have to say and act upon it and act the right way. And we thank you that you are there for us, that you're not just some ghost, some sort of aura that's around us, some smoke. But God, you are real and a living God who loves us and cares for every part of our life. Since you do, we will trust you with it today and every day in Jesus' name. Amen. Do that today. I promise it will go well with you. And we just have a few minutes, but it's been a good day. And tomorrow we'll hit Polk. We're going to poke at Polk.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. He's another Tennessee president.
Yeah. No.
And the reason my
great.
dad's here is because my sister's getting married on Saturday.
I'm
so-
dun.
Yes.
Yes. Have you told them about, marriage?
Whether
Love and marriage.
I asked Kendra, my girlfriend, I said, are you going to get wedding fever this weekend? She said, I hope not, because my boyfriend's making me wait another 5 years.
Come on now. Smart man. Yes.
Well, we want to, she's
You
got
go.
5 more years of school, so we kind of want to.
Well, don't wait 5 years before helping us today. We need your help today. Watch our network and watch 24 Hours. We have new programs. We just added another program, and it looks like we may be adding another one on top of that. I was just talking today. I don't know, but we could have a Spanish program.
Oh.
Those who speak a little español, poquito, and so.
Yo tengo un network.
See, we have a network. That's right. So go to WGN. We have a network. Get my new CD today. Become a family, a friend today. All those ways. Go to kevinshorey.com and find out how you can help us give today. We'll be back at 2 o'clock with Rick Brumbaugh right here on The Kevin Shorey Show.